You have to tell me who you are and where you come
I'm
from.
Elizondo from Mexico.
Okay.
And you mentioned the anti-corruption agreement you signed about 4 years ago, I think. And what do you think, like, the situation in Mexico is pretty harsh right now with all the corruption things. Was Mexico in that agreement?
Mexico was in the agreement, but remember two things. There were two agreements signed. One was by the business representatives from Mexico that were here. They signed on behalf of their companies. The other was it was an agreement that was signed by the national leaders, and quite frankly, that was a little less specific than what the business was willing to sign up to. I will tell you a story that happened. Something that happened shortly after we signed that agreement. There was a situation. It was a competitive procurement. Happened to be in Africa. Could have been anywhere. And three of the companies that signed that agreement were competing for a project. And there was a call made from government basically asking for a bribe to award the project. Now, for a U.S. firm, it's very simple. We have a federal law that basically sends you to jail if you pay a bribe. And so for businesses in the U.S., it's very easy. We just hide behind it and just say, well, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act just doesn't let us do these kind of things. And it's actually a very strong tool for American business, because we can just plead, we can't talk to you. We then did something we hadn't done before, which is we called the CEOs of the two other companies that were competing and reminded them of the statement that they had signed not that much, maybe 6 months earlier. I think we embarrassed at least one of them, so they both said no. And then about a week later, we get a call from government and from that government, and they said, "We have a problem. Nobody has offered to pay a bribe. We don't know how to make the selection." And I thought that was very, very telling, because that government in that case, at least for that one project, was now going to have to make a decision based on something other than how much money was in their pocket. And I think that's very, very powerful. So the drive for that has to come from business leaders, but quite frankly, the drive for that has to come from people with voices that are willing to make their voices heard. And I think that's one of the roles of this kind of group. You've got to go back to your own economies, and you have to speak about that corruption is probably the highest both business and personal tax that the citizens of the world pay. Okay? And if you don't like taxes, and I don't know anybody who does other than government as an institution, okay, you really have the ability to reduce this one tax, which causes the wrong kind of actions. You have the ability to change that. Okay? That's a good question.